Okay. Can you ask about that question in Salish? First.
Well, why don't you go ahead? There's like boxes and different things.
Maybe you could tell us then about. You can talk in English or Indian if you want, just about the boxes and about what life was like before people lived.
Well, my folks said, because there's a lot of them, they think they're medicine either way. So my dad says, can be, because you're in a box. Nothing is going to come around your box. If you're in teepee, you can talk to anybody outside, and you're inside house in teepee. You both talk from outside and inside, but not when you're in a box.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be more clear if she said it in Salish.
SKC van Tutjen Achtielish. Tulun mestem. Takres Tekwilish. Either way. Some skull to me. Tapos deakstif so much because the coupled Jatamless Sky. Numtel Charlan Spitzene Land. One week out. Num come till Chow in Yelny shoot. It hot that Chinets Oak kept so much. Because you look at Oak Namut. Because there's a lap of them.
Okay. Maybe you could ask about in Indian how to ask about what people ate in the old when they were practicing the old ways, what people ate and how they gathered their food.
This is hard for me.
Is it?
Maybe it's because it's my mom. I don't know. Stemmelshek eaten. SKC.
Dry meat. Spread them. Just to eat. Pachalo. Low. Slack. Slukum. Is gemip. Soil. And shitla. Is gemip. Because tap in Suleiman. This year is gemip.
One thing I was wondering is whether those foods kept people healthier at that time, that eating those foods, whether it would keep people stronger and healthier.
Okay.
I should be taking her class so I can ask him.
Min känner inte hur jag gör till att känna spust.
Ja. Har kunde jag ta alle hol kwas ilniet slag stasha speklum.
Da ist ja auch Zeit Malia, das Sache.
Which means?
She said because of the roots that you're eating, like the bitterroot and the different, some of the roots that she mentioned before, the husks, because they're roots and they're medicine that would keep you healthier and you wouldn't get sick.
When did most Indians start depending more on store-bought food?
Wow. What I remember when I was a kid, well, it must be about 6 or 7. I remember when my folks started buying stuff.
At that time, did they still eat mostly food that they would gather, though? I mean, did they just buy a little bit, or?
Well, they didn't buy a whole lot. They just buy what they really need, you know. But still, we had our own food.
Now it's like there's few people who have any of their own food. Most people, they get all their food from, or like almost all of it anyway, from the
Yeah,
stores.
everybody's got their own. They don't take care of their roots anymore like what we did a long time ago. Like when I first remember when my folks started buying oatmeal. My mom used to cook that, and I'm still eating that.
I was wondering if you could talk a little about the hunting trips and when people would go on the hunting trips and how long they would last and how many people would go together, just what they were like, the hunting trips.
Well, my dad just take 9 families. They have their own teepees, their horses. Each teepee had a bunch of big family, 9 teepees. So we go up Bob Marsh. I don't know for how many years I was over there. So when they get meat, they pass it to every teepee till everybody gets enough for the winter. Like fish, meat. Still, the women's look for root because that's the time to get to root in the fall sometimes. So they take care of a lot of meat for the winter.
So the men would go out for several days at a time, or for just during the day and come back?
Just during the day, the morning, they go out and they come back with some meat. Then the women's doing their hide work, and everybody's busy. So that's how I learned how to do all these.
Was there more game in those days?
Sure, there was all kinds of, a lot of fish, a lot of game.
What would the kids do?
Oh, they fish. They didn't have a really hook. As the folks is, they have these bottom hook. They get caught some because they stand close together at the creeks, lakes. They just bend a straight pin, tie a thread on it, and they go. Still they get it.
Okay. How long would you go out for?
Well, sometimes right after my dad gets done with his crop, and we go about around September, come back in November.
Sounds like more fun than being in school all day. I was wondering if you could tell me some things in Indian about Saquon. You were telling me some stories about her when I was visiting here last time.
Ja, she начинала с какой-нибудь she халитен тем сакумен she тху nawal gut lutzit she tsweten тем сакумен and lontes чукохе алтмес she хуч саул крент каткус she тsoес какой-нибудь tapistoolex leche tapistoolex namchinhas ditel tlha shogle linkupkus haune damqwasi qoyoq tutta une shelt oh shin huste es qeishin stress shin huste das gat kunst qeishin snatzlqeit jimkhol tsaitas tsahum stikib
So it really scare the kids, I guess.
nachna out msakum and sjouwt uitlust das lakeles ch'mi sjouw das sjouwt uitlust smelt sakum es kol qeimtel tsakh tuntum soel waskwas sakum Luskas sakum.
How old did Saquon live to be?
Huh?
How old did she live to be, Saquon?
She's getting old.
Wasn't she one that lived to over 100?
111.
Were there a lot more people in those days who lived to be over 100?
Yeah. Louis Vanderburg, he was 100 and some, I don't know how old.
Trains, dogs.
That's old Scotty.
I was wondering if you could ask her about farming and ranching, about how many Indians were farming and ranching when she was little, if there were more that were actively farming at that time, and what the farms are like.
Just chicken.
How to say farming.
It's just because it's your mom, you know.
I know.
You better make a pause.
I think you better. What natural apple since aska apple stama el genuische Golislu stulu.
Siawe Appelstadt Agency. Heute lauten, der lauten, Stama, Sanchilza, das Mistam Sanchilza. Konnte ich geolgt, Spakit, Alnumska, Showers, Goals, konnte geolgt, Partakt, Stim. Showers, Goals. Yell our Lewishet, Ukos, Lus Spaki.
Lewen.
Just to Lewen.
There aren't many Indians farming now, and I was wondering if you could ask her why she thinks that is, why a lot of Indians quit farming or what.
What's that? Yeah, yes.
Come plus Kailu. Chachmus smelters. Oh, see how hope.
Which means what?
She said they're all lazy, that's why they quit.
Oh, lazy.
The kids.
Well, I was wondering if you could ask her about the Bitterroot, about leaving the Bitterroot, if she has any stories about that. I'm sure those.
Hakwepls sqallu hol sallu lu til ja almet shu est huiet
Hui. Jetzt Job Zitflu Sallu. Achal Chatsa she was Jowl Sallu Zitus. Smelt them slews, smelt Jowl. Who you'd lil Sallu, it Nochens, dem Chels. Who had lil Nisa Belt and she had. She as Chowich Saddle.
Tako sauna lu til almet ims.
Ja, das müsste.
What?
She said she doesn't know because if she told anything about them leaving, it'd be what she's heard and it might be a lie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could ask her about when the first white homesteaders were coming on the reservation. If she remembers that and if she can tell anything about that.
Has mistech lu tkolchi lu suyapi yel stulu. stemplu skolum slut suyapi.
Kitchimust is yaqi. Holstelle to islus qali hunam naqatstelatkum nam huit saul kuna qatqal. Ni patak stemp qalqnam pep saul. Putun telus qali una hotsteltalatkum yo ukishis khaq.
Testem fra.
Nishtalus tiaqis trikol huist skali.
Lechwel stulich. Han is een som stil skelig.
Chnalu abskulu uyaq naish stil skali. Tuntum nakwant patruqimin panchanqi namhuts shmantqal soya. Shaywa quit. Sislos tolich. No good when meeting. Dasen solos when meeting. Good dasen soos so no yet. Del show it's a high joe high. Besias de huliplis schools. She who tossed you Christoli.
Had it swear.
There's only 30 seconds left on the tape.
Had it sweat hikes. Stems lusuyapi.
Yes, it's a upstairs. Dalsha would say. Jumotlas and Aism so she's still totally. Some taqal kutinula.
Good.
El chenu tihulam lus stulich lu skolchi lu piqsqelig.
So yeah.
Yeah. Stulich seulk.
Hard. 1915 Shilinters qet altil luti up we rep sheep I don't even see no shade timbers تنزيل الموضوع شيء الخالي سيقاس دولي ولا شيء أختي مس شلي مسلخي تنزيل شيء لجز اسم القلق شقيت القيم قموق ساولك شيء ياقي قلقليج جلسوسو جنيسي سوتا شيء سيا تمونتز جميع القيس خاقي تامول شوقي تغيف وتشبت لوس قالي لتسقسي تو انت ما ساولك ولويز تاس وقتا تلخاقي اسخاقي
Skulu nisi sute.
So
Which was about what?
About, she was talking about the lakes that were the lakes of Jocko, the lower and upper Jocko, which is known as Black Lake, were man-made.
Mm-hmm.
the Indians were told that with the irrigation, that they wouldn't have to pay, but once the water was here, they had to pay to use the water. And that was one of the reasons why they quit farming so much. And she talked about the timber and the sheep.
I understood those. Oh, here's Agnes.
The sheep brought, the white people brought the sheep over. And that was a long time ago. There was a lot more sheep than there was now.
Maybe we should pause since he's coming.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you had a name down there, didn't you?
Oh, that was more with the irrigation project.
Oh, I see. Chaman she's schedule who sell who is Lutzels Elis.
Yes, I would das Gemeentjes. Greatly me, Chinat Lue. Is je zo gemeend om tjaks je te stellen. Het alule om je. Chinap ook je komen je. No leust zo gemeend is. Want en dan lipsters. Hoe dat zo gemeend zo te laten komen.
So I
Some reaction lose was moms yes who met them.
Yeah, she's talking about when they would put the markers in, and he'd go behind them and take them out, hoping they would
stop it.
Yeah, but it didn't.
Did she talk about him burning them up?
Mm-hmm.
You told the story of him making the bonfire with the survey stakes. That's a good one. Okay, she talked about that already. Maybe just any stories about going to school, what the schools here were like, and how they were for Indian children to go, how it was to go to those schools.
Because at Amy, the channel was Han Hamel.
Leadership got a mood yet. Chaps Kaliflim Quiles. He can spell Ilms just Sania. She looked a day Quiles. Can't das Asipches at a merchant Chale. She always starts in. First look, I'll yes, Kelly would just not in
Because did a
you just near.
oh,
I see you out there down here.
because couldn't spell yet.
I should spell out just out of me. Epskaluflilmi. I should spell Sania. Uchinchale.
She said she didn't go too long. She started here and then went to mission. And then she got sick, so she was taken out of school.
Maybe ask about if she knows of the stories of people being struck for speaking Indian in the schools and what kind of...
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
Shit. It's not like me quite quiet. Huit skalkalse, og huit jetele. Naqay kamit skaliwshe. Lisqaqayshqet tiptipip. Tulis tqalqstap kamit skaliw. Shqa qet qajal shqet nspelilot. Tqalshi. Hashut tult ayat sia ojje shutulti.
Did it result in a lot of people forgetting or losing their Indian language?
Haqil shay is left him first.
She tossed it as bachbachtilshi.
Voice is sure making me want to learn how to speak a little better. Maybe talk a little bit about those trips to the Bitterroot where they picked berries and things like that back in the 20s and teens. Those trips, and talk about what those trips, talk about those trips some and what people did while they were down in the Bitterroot besides picking.
Yeah, القلمج استبلو قلسته سقالو يتل الهو القلمج
Trittes Trimske. Huit del show. The man and master del stream goal. And two stream goal. And tradition at who. Let's go out rolling. Show it really scaly. The gen china goal goes out. Chimney chin. Just milk the chicken.
هاي شيء قلها ومتستشع القلمج تا
Tatas qalam hichmu zechras wesel hu qame nishla skolam
هلا
hu
هلا في شيء شو قولهم
شو قولم اللمدم دار تيش السبولة شيمي داس بخ باتاق قيتقم لات نهايد نخلو شيء
She said it was a place for them to go back to because that was where they were born, and they went back and went to all the old places that they fished at, hunted, and some of them would fish and hunt and pick some of the fruits, and they also worked over there in later years. Some of the Indians worked over there with potatoes and strawberries and.
Maybe talk about how come people stopped making those big group journeys down to the Bitterroot?
She mentioned that earlier. She said they it's not as important now, I guess, for the younger kids to, they don't realize what, like with the older people.
Your parents were born in the Bitterroot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe talk a little about what powwows were like back in your younger days and how they were different. The powwows.
Has Tichulam Lu July Hul Til Tsqasi Uyatlwa.
Es good is Tichulam. The speeds and the genuine who's Chliuja, Tuja, low goalies, Katzit, the Hulele, and Golimis. Okan Golimin, the horn.
Stem Lu and Goluman Tsqasi.
This is a sheet to cook. She didn't go a sea possession. Ellen Quashi Judy Jason Joe Light and Yellow Stackel down sculpture. She Jenny Alupi Bahomegam, says Jenny in a quest. She took a in Dakota. See out Cashet in Dakota. Ellen Qua, who wears. Huge issue wins. Ellen Qua, she Ulam, Ellen Quashi, Jimsomste, and Dakota, Necessarily. Milk was Tichulam, Damishi, Dapless, Zella, Dapless, Cow. Good milk was Steve. If you punch stuff, you touch it more. See, I was different with gold.
Tastla.
That place, it's just Kaili Limihungi, let us tell. But see, I have scalses, it's just lawach and trash it to underchain, but that is in July.
Nechwatla Smemstu.
Yeah.
No bear heads back then. I was going to ask about the alcohol problem, if it was as bad when she was young, and if not, when it got worse.
Haps Qoyotan Lu. Kupanu.
You should. That's true. Some of them are church. Skalkal to me, Damasia. Who you it hot to just, yeah. We tell you what's here.
What's that?
That you does noon where. That stem is noon where, Joe. We should noon where deal me from over the show what's here.
She said there was alcohol when she was younger, but she said maybe 3 or 4 women and maybe 5 or 6 men were
Well, drinkers.
yeah. And she said as the years went on, it got worse, and why it got worse is nobody believes anymore in what the older people have to say. They don't have like a leader. They don't believe in any of the leaders.
I was going to ask a question about Kerr Dam when that was being built. If you heard many stories about it being built, or if you knew that it was going to be built before they built it.
No, das missten. Du kannst du talks. Kannst kapel in Jamkan. Gaat go abstam skalu sweet shay. Kallen happen to who is coming pachmulas as in tseqatel stkap chmuluch paqan we are got so edge to them نخلياق خل نمك بلتقم لك يها هنا تا
She said she doesn't remember too much about it other than after it was already built. And they were told that it was ready for an opening. But she said the Indians then too were also lied to about why Kerr Dam was built, and
How so?
from the stories that she's heard that, that they would get, electricity and wouldn't have to pay for it.
You got train, you got dog, you got clock.
Won't be able to hear you. Ding dong.
Ruby's coming.
Maybe just quickly, how come Jerome didn't choose to go work at Kerr Dam? There's a lot of people who did, I guess.
But still, task us Scotland flew. Eat missed him.
Tassen. Great. But just cooking in das cookers please squeeze gold twist gems loot strip dam church religious schools doesn't tell me.
Well, the other one should probably go in the next tape because there's a couple questions, just probably these two more.
Ha question te hot nem te piste el smelt yet ha nem el go list lut asay lus ngotleman lus qali
Ja, sentena mal el no koya visal qshit. Sentena mal el no. Ja, just sentena.
Which means?
She has a strong feeling that the old ways will come back through the people that are doing it now.
That's good. What your dream is for the future here, and
I don't dream.
Really?
No.
Astentels luchel ne chali ne.
And go. Ishe daar is een specifiek stem. Je moet een keeltje kwijtbakken dan doet gescoord dit la onakko. Je kan nu daar is toch dat je niet zo'n khali niet in ko. Nakutsohan nam jen machi nam kaltuin das tsoha. Hanam katlil hanam goshchen. Da is tsoha. En khalut en plus tsoha.
Takwepls center holst smelt ne bochtiels.
Chinteshi lunam namche. Huit ja des. Chkoya was dakhlu. Huit searchnes lemti huit smelt. Sia anno numstus. Les qeli kun kolums. Chinte nam huit.
She says she has hopes for the kids coming up, that she hopes they will better themselves.
Language.
Mana.
I was going to ask you to tell a coyote story, but there's not snow down here, so.
Go get some.
Well, thank you.
Mana.